One more. Good morning. Actually, magnificent morning. Awesome afternoon. An excellent evening for those who may be watching us from all over the world. We are here for Planet Union today. And we're going to be talking to people throughout the world about how they live, their way of life. And I'm so excited to talk to everyone. Having said that, I have Victor here now to help me get through this. I am Carla. You may know me from the Learn English by Speaking English show, or you may know me by my interviews, or even mine Pour with Carla and Friends. That's what I do. I spend a lot of time doing shows to help you get an understanding of the world. With that, I am going to ask Victor to introduce himself. Victor, I'll be putting the YouTube link in the chat in a moment, and I hope you'll share it. And good morning, Victor, because for you, it's very, 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 very early morning. I would never do it at the time you're doing it. And I really appreciate that you come for me to do it in the mornings. Go ahead, Victor, introduce yourself and we'll begin a conversation.
I am Victor Irving Jenkins. I live in Sacramento, California. I do some foreign exchange trading. I drive for DoorDash doing food delivery, and I'm an all around conversationalist. I speak to a lot of people all the way around the world. I'm a speaker, and I love the idea of helping people grow personally. Just so happens that an organization that I belong to called Toastmasters has a similar mission statement to my mission, which is to provide a mutually supportive and a positive learning environment where every member gets the opportunity to develop communication and leadership skills, which fosters self-confidence and personal growth. And one of the things I do to enhance my personal growth is in the mornings when I wake up, average people turn the shower on and wait for the water to get warm and then they jump in the shower. Not me, Jack. I get in the shower first and then I turn the water on and it's ice cold. But then a few minutes later, not very long, it gets hot. Somehow that introduces me to the day and gives me the impression that I'm doing something really, really great. In fact, I think it's going to keep me living a long time. Somehow that introduces me.
You know, Victor, I have never been able to do that. I am so impressed that you can do that in the morning.
You know, the way I do it, when I first became a Toastmaster, there's a gentleman who's a little younger than I am at the time, but I thought he was old, right? He had taken a video of him bungee jumping a long, long time ago before bungee jumping became popular. And he had to climb up this ladder, and on the top of the ladder there was a flat platform, and you stand on the platform and you jump with the bungee tied behind you with the bungee cord tied around your waist and what have you. And as I looked at him and I watched this video, if it were I would have climbed up the steps and got on the platform, and then I would have stood and looked down for a few seconds and taken a few deep breaths, right? And get my head right, and then all of us, and then afterwards, I would jump off the platform. In fact, I might have not even jumped off the platform, but that's how I saw myself doing it in the mind. But him, he got up to the top of the platform, he took 2 steps, 1, 2, and he was off. And that's what I do in the morning, because every morning I do it, I wonder, am I going to do it this morning? For about 2 seconds. But I just get in the shower and turn it on, and once I do it, I'm always excited about it.
I don't understand how you can be excited. I need my water warm in order to do a shower. If it isn't
Well,
warm,
it gets warm. It takes about 2 minutes, but it gets warm.
I know that because my shower at home does that all the time. But those 2 seconds are very, very difficult for me. And I am working on getting this out to the world. So we will just have a conversation until someone joins us. Because everything kind of stopped yesterday and I need to redo everything. And it's not always fun, but it gets done. So,
Well, today is an interesting day for me. It's Sunday where I am, and typically on Sunday, I attend church. And although this is not a religious program, this is an interesting topic today because I'm not going to go to my church today. I'm going to go to somebody else's church. There's going to be a speaker there, and this speaker's name is Dean Braxton. Well, apparently, Dean Braxton died for an hour and 45 minutes. And while he was
really?
dead for an hour and 45 minutes, he says he went to heaven. Says he saw God. So he spends this time now going around from one place to the other, sharing the experience with people. Of course, it's an effort to bolster people's faith in Jesus, but it's an interesting story that someone was dead. Yeah, they actually have it documented that he was dead for an hour and 45 minutes. So I'm going to go listen to hear what he has to say today, and I'm going to find that extremely interesting. Because see, there's a thing
That
about
is.
belief.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done. Go on.
There's a thing about belief that people in the Christian faith, people in the Muslim faith, the Sikh faith, when you get caught up in the belief, that's a different place to be. And it's not only about believing in a religion, but it's believing in anything. I heard a long time ago, I was watching this program called Criminal Minds. And on the voiceover, when the program was coming on, they said something, might have been exactly like this, that says, to them that believe, proof is unnecessary. And to them that don't believe, proof is impossible. And that's such a powerful, powerful statement to me because some people wonder why other people have the beliefs that they do, but everyone's belief, you can invalidate anybody's belief simply by just not believing in it. And that's the thing that takes some people on a tangent. Because when you believe something, you don't have to have any. I mean, when you're a little kid and you believe in Santa Claus, you don't need no proof that Santa Claus exists. You just believe he exists based on the evidence that you decide is real. And I think that that's one of the benefits of letting little children believe in Santa because it teaches them to believe. And an ability to believe will change your life.
I agree wholeheartedly because what you decide to believe in does become reality. And when it becomes reality, that is your life. That's what you believe in.
It is also said that.
When did you come to that conclusion, Victor?
Probably right after I got married, about 28, 25 years ago, something like that. And
how long have you been married?
29 years.
Really?
That seems so odd. And that's not the first time I've been married. I've been married. This is my fourth time being married, and I've been married for 29 years. And
well,
if I had any sense, I would have just gotten married the first time because there's a lot of talk about the right person or compatibility and all this sort of stuff. But for me, in order to remain married, you have to actually be the right person. And you got to spend your time trying to be the right person, not trying to find the right person. Because many people have been in marriages that at the beginning they thought they didn't have a chance, But the way to get marriages to work, the way to get relationships to work, is to work on yourself. Human beings have this really odd desire to control other human beings. And by controlling other human beings, I mean they take their map of the world and superimpose it on people and make judgments on people based on what they think. So they make up these things, make up these rules, and then swear to them. You think they're the truth when in point of fact they're not. You could be married, you could stay married, and you can get along with anything. Any reality that you're experiencing, you can manage it if you think you can. People say that I had the thought just then. People say that they believe certain things based on no, their life is a certain way based on what's happened to them in the past. So going back to the belief part, right? The things that have happened to you in your past, they do have an impact over what you are and what your life consists of. But they don't make you who you are. They make you believe that you are who you are. See? And once you believe that you are who you are, that is who you become. And I see Huang. Hello, Huang. A pretty face this morning. Good morning.
Hi.
Excuse
Good
me
evening.
for one moment. We have a gentleman here who does not have his camera on. I will remove you if you don't put your camera on. Thank you.
Hello,
You need to wait for your turn.
hello, can you hear me?
You need to wait for your turn. Continue in
Okay,
a moment. Please mute yourself. Okay. Okay, Huang, you are to stay unmuted. I should not have to tell you that all the time. Okay, continue your conversation with Huang, please.
Huang, good morning.
Yes, good evening.
Okay, good evening to you. We were talking about believing, right? Do you believe, Huang? Do you believe?
Yes, I will
What do
become
you
what I
believe?
believe. So I believe in positive things, positive energy, and my positive energies in me will overcome all obstacles and difficulties in life.
Go on.
Go on.
Yes. So I can say that I agree with you, the opinion last time. You reminded a lot of members when they joined the meeting that we will become what we believe. So we should keep positive energy and also just do our best with all things we are doing and supporting people when we feel that it's good for the future and for the future around you. You should keep doing that. For me as well, sometimes I have received a lot of bad comments and a lot of judgment around me, but I believe in myself that I'm doing great job. I'm supporting people, and I'm independent when running and handling own problems with my own efforts. So that's why people even they judge me. They prevent me from doing a lot of things, but I keep doing that and I keep improving and keep gaining knowledge and keep communicating with people to enrich myself. Yeah. That's the thing I'm doing. I'm believing in myself.
Well, it's good to believe in yourself, and you believe that you are effective, and I too believe that you are effective. I'd like to touch on a class that you recently gave, and my intentions were to share this with Carla. I just never did it, but I think it's fantastic what you did back on February 24th. May I share it with the group what I'm talking about?
Yes,
Sure.
please.
Okay, she had she has students that she teaches, and in English, as in other languages, there are colloquial expressions or expressions that wouldn't mean what you think they mean. So she's got a few of them here. Like, this is a discussion question. It says, "What does it mean to hit the books? Are you a person who can hit it off when making friends in public? Why or why not?" So the question, so in English, a person for whom English is the second language, that's a big question right there. What does it mean to hit the books? And I believe that as people learn English and they learn about these colloquial expressions, it's certainly valuable that they know them. And hitting the books is something that I would like, if it's okay, Carla, perhaps we can ask our
Yeah,
audiences.
it's
Okay.
okay.
Okay. So
Guys, do you
Sammy,
want to see my Roblox montage?
Excuse me. If you interrupt us,
Can I please show you my Roblox montage?
you know what? We're going to remove him until he.
Why?
Because you're
Okay,
not
I'm quiet now.
following directions.
I will mute myself.
You need to make him part of the conversation, but he also needs to learn to listen. And if he does not do that, we cannot have him here. No ifs, ands, or buts. The next time he interrupts, we will remove him. But he needs to also have a chance to introduce himself.
Let's give him that chance now. Sammy, can you hear us?
You know what? He's not even showing his face. We're going to just put him in the waiting room.
I don't think
that's my Roblox montage. Do you like it?
He's not paying attention. He's gone.
I don't think he understands what we're saying.
I don't either, but it's also important for him to want to listen. Do you want to try to explain it to him?
Yeah, put him on.
Okay, I'm admitting him again. If he does not listen, we will remove him completely. Let's see if, no, look, he's not even trying.
Sammy, can you hear?
Yeah, hello.
Sammy, tell us who you are and where you are.
One question at a time for him, because he did.
Okay.
He have problems listening.
I'm Sammy, and I love eating paper, and that's the.
Sammy, you need to show your face, not your shirt.
Look at your camera, Sammy. Look into your camera. Okay, so we can see you.
No, I'm sorry. This is not acceptable. Tell him once again, and
Sammy, look into your camera. We can't see your image well. We'd like to. It's not going to work, Carla.
No, he's not even. Okay, continue the conversation, please.
So the phrase I was talking about was called hitting the books.
Yes.
Huang, tell me about hitting the books.
So, Victor, before answering that question, I am really interested in phrasal verb and collocations with hit. So, you know, we have a lot of phrasal verbs and idioms with hit, you know, like a hit a sack or hit a hay. It's the first, is like a easy phrasal verb idiom I have heard. Go to bed, right?
Right.
Hit the hay. But people told me that that's different between hit the hay and hit the sack. I mean, hit the hay in like different countries, other people, they usually use us more often than other, like a hit the sack, go to bed.
Yes, well, hit the hay and hit the sack is the same thing. Just different words.
All right.
Yeah,
so,
there are lots of words in the English language that depends on context. When you say them based on other words in the sentence, people know what it means. And plus, in my form of English, in my neighborhood language, there are phrases like the phrase tighten up. Have you ever heard of tighten up?
Tighten up.
Tighten up. Tig, like you tie something and you tie it tight. There's a phrase called tighten up, and it means anything. For instance, if your camera is not the way that you want it to and you want to fix your camera so you can have a better image, someone will say, you have to tighten up your camera image. If your hair is not the way that you want to and you want to brush it, you need to brush your hair, people say, you got to tighten up your hair. If you have to clean a treatment room in a hospital, if you want to clean the room, people might say, you tighten up the treatment room. So tighten up is a word that's used in many contexts. When I was younger and I was in the military, every Thursday night, I think it was every Thursday night, it was one technician's job to clean the treatment room, and it was another technician's job to clean the break room. Now, the person that I was working with didn't speak the locale in the locale that I did, because the way that I speak, we call it I'm cool, or I speak jive, sort of like that, right? And I was explaining to him our duties one night, and I said to him, okay, I tell you what we're going to do. You're going to clean up the break room, and I'll stay up here and tighten up the treatment room. I'll stay up here and tighten up the treatment room. And he said, huh? I said, you go ahead and clean the break room, straighten it out, and I'll tighten up the treatment room. He goes, do what? So after a few times, I finally had to say to him, you clean up and straighten the break room, and I'll clean up and straighten the treatment room. And he finally understood what I said. But this tighten up is such an all-inclusive word. Like if you have a fight with somebody, right? Man, I'll tighten you up, man. So tighten up is a really fun phrase to work with.
Now, you may need to say it a little slower. Did you understand what he was saying, Huang?
I had never heard about that word take nap. What does it mean? Take a nap or take nap?
I wrote it in the chat.
No,
right.
I want you to say it here.
Oh.
For anyone who is listening, she is not the only person who may not understand what you are saying. And you need to slow down a little. Because to me, I knew what you were saying. So I could gather it at the speed you were talking. But that doesn't help someone from another country who's just learning English. We think she always understands, but that may not necessarily be what's happening, Victor. I'm not putting you down. I'm trying to help you understand this. Okay, Victor.
So in other words, you're saying, tighten up my presentation.
Right. So, but I need you to explain that to her. And I need you to do it slower.
So what is the difference between tighten up and fasten up? Fasten up, right? Fasten up.
Okay, tighten up is an expression. And it is an English expression that depends on context. And context is situational. Whatever the situation calls for depends on, that's what tighten up, the meaning for tighten up. And it originated in the late 60s. There was a song called Tighten Up. And in the words to the song, the guy says, Hi, everybody. We are Archie Bell and the Drells. We not only sing, but we can dance as well as we want to. Here, we're going to talk to you about a new dance. It's called the Tighten Up. And from that song, from that beginning, the term tighten up is now a popular part, actually, of black culture. If there was anything that could be black culture, I think the word tighten up could be that thing. And if you're ever around anyone that speaks the way that I do, I tend to speak the King's English, but when I'm in surroundings that are common to me, I might use words like tighten up. And there are many words like that. It's just that tighten up comes to mind right now.
Yes.
Like if your image on camera is not the way you want it to be, hey man, you have to tighten up your image. If your conversation is not the way that you want it to be, hey man, you're gonna have to tighten up your conversation. So tighten up is a word that means lots of different things to lots of different people.
Yep. So, Victor, can I say like every year we have a lot of parties to tighten up our relationship between like
Yeah,
among family members.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. And you can. I mean, that's just one use. Come up, do another one. Think of some other place where you can tighten up.
Mm. Yes.
Like if like in America, in certain ways, we believe in spanking your kids, right? And if your kids don't act right, man, I'm gonna have to tighten you up. Tighten up just works
Yes.
in so many ways.
Yes.
Or if your relationship, you got a boyfriend or a girlfriend, if they're not behaving the way that you want them to behave, you say, you know, we're going to have to tighten up this relationship. So tighten up is, you can use tighten up for anything, and depending upon what you're saying, what else you're saying, people know what you mean. And tighten up is one of the reasons that English has been a difficult language for a lot of people.
Yep.
Moving right along, no one teaches their children to use the word ain't, AIN apostrophe T. No English class anywhere teaches anyone to use the word ain't. But the word ain't has been around for centuries. So where's it coming from? It's coming from the home, the place where you live as a child when you grow up. Somehow, ain't has been injected into our culture and it never goes away. Now, Juan, have you heard of the word ain't?
Yep. I haven't heard that. Eight. AID, right?
No. AIN apostrophe T. Ain't. Like, ain't you got anything better to do? Or you ain't gonna tell me what to do. It's a variation of aren't. I'll write it in the chat. AREN apostrophe. No, that's aren't.
No. Are you looking for the spelling of ain't? Victor?
Oh no. No, I'm a wonderful speller.
What are you looking for? I'm very confused by what you're saying.
Ain't
Eight.
is a bastardized version of aren't. Instead of ain't, the word you're supposed to use is aren't. But ain't is a slang, and it is a word that nobody teaches other people to use, but everybody uses it.
I haven't seen it with question text.
Give me an example.
Like you like I am a teacher until, so until here I will put that the second part of question tag. I haven't seen it. And
The word ain't you have seen. Can you use ain't in a sentence?
yeah, so with the question tags and
I don't understand.
I don't
like
understand either.
I have seen the question tag. Do you know question tags?
No.
With two parts. The first one question tags. The first part of question will be if it's positive. So second part will be negative. So like you are teachers until, right? You are a teacher until. So we call that kind of question tags. But with the I am a teacher until.
Okay, right. Aren't I would be replaced with ain't I?
Yeah.
Well,
Ain't is improper English.
okay, I need to correct you because I went to look it up in Google. And ain't is described as I'm not, like I ain't going, are not, which you were talking about, you are not, the plural, and is not, it ain't good. Now, trying to get your habit, but it's how you use it, and it's informal. It can be used in the world, but it's very informal now, and it's considered slang, but it can be used now, which in the past it wasn't used as much. And the proper way to use ain't is the way you just said. You would normally say is not, are not, and I'm not. Like, I ain't going to do this show today. That's ain't. Does that make sense to you, Victor?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm surprised that ain't is an accepted form of English because as I was growing up, nobody taught you to use ain't. In fact, every time you used ain't, the teacher would correct you.
Right. And you are corrected when you use it, when you're in school. But I have been known to use it at times, and I've seen people using it. So it is okay to use, but it's used as an informal way of speaking.
Now, I was making the point that language is sometimes difficult because certain phrases like ain't and tighten up, people just use them, but no, they just learn to use them from where they spend their time. Nobody really teaches you to use ain't. They don't really teach you how to use tighten up, but you learn anyway.
You learn it because most people use it. Tighten up, like I understand the meaning, but I have never used it myself.
Then we're going to tighten up this show.
Taking up. Yeah, so Victor.
We're here. Yeah,
one more.
Just joined us. Can we have her introduce herself and become a part of the conversation?
Yes.
As long as she keeps smiling like that.
Well, I think everybody here have actually been on with it a few times. So,
but you have it. There are new people watching each time.
Okay.
So that's why I ask people to introduce themselves. And then people watch it on YouTube after the show who may not know who you are.
Okay.
So you're new.
Okay. Okay. I'm joining this call from Israel. I live in Ramat Beit Shemesh, which is between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. I am originally from New York. I work in translation from Hebrew to English. What else? Like to read, like sociology, do some matchmaking, and I think I've hit the high spots.
Now,
Yocheved, how do you do matchmaking? Tell me about that.
Well, I actually, at this point, I can sometimes do it in person because for many years, our friends, the ones who weren't married, were kind of stuck, and our friends' kids were too small. But as time goes on and we age, so do our friends' kids. So now I actually have some people who are old enough that I know personally, but I do most of my matchmaking through a website where people upload their profiles with a whole lot of information. And then matchmakers can see it. And it's, I guess, what you call a matchmaker mediated site. And you send out the suggestions to the singles.
In doing so, you have certain impressions based on the data that people submit, right?
Right.
And you interpret this data based on the way that you see the world, right?
I guess you could say that for anybody doing something. Yeah.
So then there's a certain degree of persuasiveness that you have to have if you believe that the match is a good one. And maybe from time to time, one or both of the match might think, nah, they're not a fit for me. But based on what you are trying to do, you think they are a match. So the question is, do you have to have a certain degree of persuasiveness in order to do what you do, and to what degree?
Well, I would say that it is involved somewhat, for better or for worse. One of the disadvantages of an online platform for this is that most of the members don't know me personally. And the amount of openness to persuasiveness or to suggestions is not as high as one would wish. So at the beginning, when I started, I used to send a lot of feedback, and I would like argue with people or explain why I think, this is a mistake. At this point, I rarely do that. If somebody does not ask, like, what do you think I should do? They're not generally very open to being told very much. Having said that, I will still occasionally say, are you sure you don't want to reconsider that? Like the woman has a doctorate in genetics who turned down a match because he's also in the sciences. It's like, it's that, I don't even ask me what's going through her mind. It could be competition. I have no idea. But I said to her, are you sure that it's a good idea to eliminate somebody based just on what they're studying? Is that or their, specific job? You have a lot in common in other areas. The truth is, I don't even think I particularly noticed the science thing. There were other things, political stuff and religious stuff. And I said, if you'd like to reconsider, I'll be happy to send the match back. And the response to this was nothing, which is what I've gotten used to. Again, it's not face to face. So it's easy for people to blow you off, they don't have to, really listen. Yeah, you don't have much leverage. Like I said, the advantage. Yeah.
It certainly seems like you could have some interesting conversations with lots of different people. Is that true?
Yes. I have come across some interesting people, some interesting histories, some interesting characters, funny stories. I sometimes say, one day I'll write a book. But and I do, here and there have successes, but I was actually considering, there's another matchmaking service, if you will. It's also volunteer, but where people, the members who sign up for the service sign up for being mentored. Like part of what's done is you meet with the people and you talk to them, you sort of hold their hand a bit more, you make suggestions for, why are they stuck? In other words, these are people who realize they're stuck, they want to get married and they're not managing it, and they're open to hearing, well, maybe you're you're too narrow in what you're looking for, or maybe you have to, clarify for yourself certain things before you can find somebody else. They're open to hearing what might be an issue. So I was considering that maybe I should do that, and that might, be more productive. But meanwhile, I'm still doing what I do.
Now, have you been doing matchmaking for a while, Kevin?
Yeah.
How long? Well,
this website I've been working with Princeton, somewhere between 15 and 20 years. And before that, a friend of mine had told me about this because she knew that I was, making efforts. It was a single friend. And, when this was just starting out, she said, you might want to get involved with this. So I'd already been doing a little bit in person, in real life, if I had ideas and whatever. But the advantage of these websites is that they're huge. It's a database, there's thousands of people on it. But the disadvantage is that it's a little alienated. Like you don't have a lot of leverage. If you don't, if you know the people, it's your roommate, they're going to ask you 2 questions and they're going to go out if you say you think something's a good idea. But when it comes through the computer out of the ether, people are faster to just decline,
Now, what made you decide to do it, and how successful have you been with matchmaking?
I'm not sure exactly what motivated me, just I think to help people, people who are looking and, not finding, it's difficult. And well, success is an interesting question. I do have some matches, like I have a number of marriages that did result either from the website and a couple in real life, or I have a part in it, I suggested it, someone else suggested it also, whatever. But the question is also like there's one matchmaker on this site that I work with particularly who tends to send out, she blitzes people with matches, just almost random, like they don't match at all what they say they're looking for, but she actually has a lot of successes. But somebody said to me, yes, but how many people has she made cry? So in other words, sometimes, like maybe if you only define success by marriage, then it's fewer. But if part of it is also if you have restored someone's hope, if you have sent them a good suggestion and they met a nice person who, and it was a positive experience and it didn't work out, they're not going to, get married, but it sort of restored their hope or confidence. There's some level of success, I think, or at least I tell myself that's a type of success too. If people feel that they have someone who understands them, someone they can talk to, someone they can work with, someone looking out for them, that's also valuable, even if you don't,
Hey guys, you miss me?
I need to remove this person. Keep on talking.
Yeah. No, so I would say that's, it. I have, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 couples, let's say, that I, have fixed up and who did get married. One of them actually sent me, it was cute. It was nice. They sent an email like when they had their first kid. Just wanted to let you know, we've had a child. That's from the match. And one of the people I fixed up on the website, they in turn became matchmakers on the website to help people. So, there's some positive feedback. But I would be pleased if I had a few more people who actually, said, okay, this is it. And, got married. But
it reminds me of a song I heard many years ago in high school. And here's the words, right? I wish that a marriage license was just like a driver's license that expires every 2 years with an option to hold just in case another girl comes. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't think that's a matchmaking question. It's like maybe a more fundamental look at marriage and relationships. I'm more in favor of the long term, and actually just met up today with a friend who's divorcing after 25 years of marriage and children, and it's tough. It's really tough. So I don't know. Look, sometimes things don't work out, but I guess I'm still largely a traditionalist on that.
I am too. In that particular context, I would just keep extending the license. I would just keep renewing the license.
Yeah, but I think if you go into it with that mindset, I'm not sure that it can't sort of become self-fulfilling. Like if you don't go into it with like, I'm going to make this work, I've decided this is the person and I'm going to do my best. Sometimes our best isn't good enough and something still doesn't work, But if you sort of go into it with a like, well, I could always, go back out. I'm not sure that's a stable foundation,
Now, do you just do Jewish matchmaking, or can it be anyone of any religion?
So the website that I work on is just Jewish.
Okay.
And it's also marriage oriented. Like that is, upfront, and one person wrote to me. I don't remember if they removed them from the site or not, but they said, I'd fix them up with someone and they said, this guy doesn't want to get married at this point. He's not looking for a long-term commitment. And I said, that's interesting. And I said, I don't know what the policy is here, but I know this is basically for people who want to get married, decide what like I said, I'm not sure if they removed, I suspect they did remove them from the site, but I'm not sure. But it's definitely focused on marriage.
Is it the Jew date or?
No, JDate. JDate is a different site. I'm not real familiar with it, but that's one where the singles can search on their own. The site that I work for is matchmaker mediated. Like the singles can't scroll profiles and then contact people.
Move on. You're not part of the conversation. What are you doing? Taking a nap? That's not allowed.
Oh my God. Actually, I'm listening. I'm curious with that because in my country, we also have some apps for dating or for like matchmaking like that.
Have you ever tried it?
Not yet.
Well, see, for me, I'm a bit of a traditionalist as well, and I find in reality the whole idea of matchmaking is kind of difficult, and we mean the best. Our tendency, though, is to put our best foot forward, and we paint a picture of ourselves, making us look as good as we can, and that's normal. In a relationship, once it gets past the ooh stage, because when you first become part of someone else's life, the euphoria is really it's phenomenal. The euphoria associated with meeting someone new and discovering that person brings you some sort of pleasure. I mean, that's just really indefinable in many ways. But then after you get past that part, that's when things sort of fall apart, because some people look at relationships as a long date. You're going to date with someone that you just met. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. But relationships have a life cycle, and part of the life cycle is for it not to be all over the moon excited. And if it's not to be all over the moon excited, a lot of us think it's time to go somewhere where it's over the moon excited. I've got a friend that's been married more times than me, and though he's about my age, it seems that he still thinks that marriage and relationship is about one long date with one dessert after the other, one dessert moment after the other. So in that regard, it might be more helpful for people to understand the life cycle of a relationship. And this life cycle idea, if everything else that lives eventually dies, how can we not expect the euphoria associated with relationships to eventually die?
So I think that most of the time, people, hopefully, who are mature adults, let's say, are aware that there's like, a high, and then there's the day to day. And the truth is, it's not only, about marriage, lots of things. You start a new job and it's, oh, wow, it's amazing. And then it becomes somewhat more routine. But I think that the relationship, there has to be some kind of acknowledgement or shared idea that you're building something together. You're trying to, act upon the world, possibly bring children to the world, raise children, that you have certain, values, beliefs, lifestyles, etc., that are compatible and together with that spark or whatever. And so that even if it becomes more the, day to day, but it has a solid foundation. So it's, something that's just an infatuation, or, you just mean, oh, wow, here's a good looking guy, a pretty girl, it's fun. That's usually not where you're looking if you're looking long term, or not only for that. You have to have some kind of picture of how the world, how you're building your world.
Well, certainly mature people understand that there's more to a relationship than euphoria. But that's only 2% of the population that's mature. Most of us are just not mature. We get so caught up in how we feel.
Actually, I disagree with you on that. And what I disagree about is that you start a friendship or you start a relationship and you don't know where it's going. But there is something that each person needs to teach the other person. And whether it ends up being a long-lasting relationship or not is another thing. I mean, one reason I'm not married, the basic reason is that I haven't met the right person. And I didn't want to get married just because I felt I needed someone. I wanted to get married because I wanted the right person. Now I've gone through quite a few people in my life, but none of them are people that I would want to spend my life with.
Right.
And in the beginning, I may have thought so, but after a little while, I knew that it wasn't right. Yes, you, Kevin.
Right. I know, I'm not saying that there's not a value in friendships, and I'm not saying that everybody is necessarily going to find the person they're looking for, but I'm saying that I'm not saying that it's better to marry one guy after he broke an engagement, said he learned something very important. It is worse to be engaged to the wrong person than to be on your own. And he was very relieved when this relationship ended. But I still think that if somebody is committed to get married, and some people aren't interested in getting married, and that's also their prerogative. That's one of the things, the website that I'm working on, nobody is forcing anybody to sign up. People who are perfectly happy as they are perfectly free not to get on the website. So in theory, the people on the website are supposed to be serious about this, and this is supposed to be something important to them. Like, I'm not imposing this on them. They're asking, for this help. So, although sometimes you wouldn't really see that, maybe their parents made them sign up for something. I don't know. But, and like I said, doesn't mean there's no value to, friendships and, whatever. Not obviously every relationship. You can have a meaningful relationship, same sex, opposite sex, doesn't matter, where there's not marriage in the cards. But if somebody is looking for a long-term relationship, and the question is, well, what do you do if the, that first whatever goes away? The idea is that people know that that is a, not going to last in at least that extreme state forever. And, you're looking to have something beyond, in addition to that, minimally, that's stable, that's underneath it, that's, deep and, where you're in sync. One friend of mine said to me at some point, and, she and her husband have their ups and downs, pros and cons, but she said something like, I still just love talking to him. Like when we can get away and we have the time and they're both busy, whatever. So I just love it. So, okay, maybe that's not the, whatever, stars and stripes, but this was after many, many years of marriage. So, if there's that, connection on that,
Right.
front, then.
I mean, my parents introduced me to several different people, and I was like, yuck, why did you introduce me to this person? And what's the purpose of it? I'm glad that I don't have to deal with that anymore. But they would, you'd come home and your mom would say, how do you like him? And I'm like, let's not talk about it. I'm not going out with him again.
So this is what I was saying about define success. Sometimes the fact is like, yeah, he was a nice guy. He's not for me, but I had an enjoyable evening. That's a level of success as opposed to what on earth were they thinking? Why did they fix me up with this loser? Yeah,
and that was my feeling many times.
Right. So I try to avoid giving people that experience. And I think I'm pretty good with that. I do not make random suggestions. I do not, ignore what people say that they are looking for and just, send what I feel in the mood to send. I really try very hard to not make these like random suggestions so that at least people get back and say, oh, he was good. He might be good for a friend of mine, could try this or, so that's part of a goal too.
Remember, they don't know you and you don't really know them. So, oh, you sound like you'd be interesting to this person, but what do you think? Go on.
I was just gonna say, you have to understand that these profiles that people put up actually do have quite a lot of information. So it's not enough. It doesn't quite, it doesn't replace, and you can't tell everything. But in terms of getting the ballpark right, there's enough information that people should not be getting when suggestions from outer space. So.
I love that. So there are not many suggestions from outer space. Alon, what do you think about this?
For me, I'm not really interested in become in something to become a matchmaker here, because whenever they feel have some problem, like their marriage or their relationship has some problem, they will blame or they will throw me under the bus, or they will put me in the trouble because of my suggestion and my recommendation, because there are a lot of ups and downs in life, so they have to take responsibility for their decisions. So whenever they ask, so that's a choice, that's so options, so I just give some options for you. So everything will depend on you and your decisions.
Right, but that's true if you fix up people too. I mean, ultimately, except maybe in some, ultra conservative societies, I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, that's not where I'm working to that degree. It is their decision. And so I did feel a little bad. Someone felt compelled to tell me that a match that I had made, the couple had gotten married. They were married for a number of years and they got divorced. I was like, okay, why did you feel compelled to share that with me? That was a piece of information that there's nothing I can do about that, whatever. But I still like, you know, so it's a little uncomfortable, but basically I don't feel like I'm making the decision. I am making the introduction. And then the people make the decision on their own. And I also, okay, some people are very pushy with these things. I tell people like nobody can make this decision for you. You know, I can't tell you how somebody else makes you feel, or whether they bring out the best in you, whether you bring out the best in them, whether you know, are going to get along. You know, a lot of these are personal. You can't do it from the pieces of paper. You can say this is a reasonable idea, but you can't say you enjoy spending time with this person. That's one of the criteria I tell people too. You know, you can, everything can be perfect on paper. You can compromise on all, or you can compromise on all sorts of things on paper. You thought you would marry somebody who was an X profession, but they're in Y profession, who had X family status, but they have Y family status, all sorts of things. I said, but you can't compromise on enjoying spending time with the person. If you don't enjoy being with the person, I don't care what all of the objective facts are. It's not going to go. And you're the only one who can judge that part.
Obviously. Obviously.
You know.
Can you be sure that people are telling you the truth in their profile?
No.
Not 100%. They do have fact checkers who try, like,
We
at least,
never
you know,
know.
the ages and things like that. But and my mother always says she told my father everything she knew and she was being as truthful as possible. And half the things she didn't know and half the things she was wrong about. So, you know, you do your best, but just like in real life, you know, also, how do you know? So either you trust the person and or you do a combination of trusting and checking. You know, I mean, again, on these profiles, it says, you know, where did you go to school? Where did you go to university? Where do you work? Where did you grow up? Where do your parents live? Like, there's all sorts of information. So someone who wants to do a little detective work could try. But, you know, just like in real life, people, you know, there are honest people in this world and there are dishonest people. And that's, you know, across the board an issue. But, you know, so they try to keep it honest, you know, and if they know that somebody is lying, they will remove people from the site or make them correct things, you know, but it's not guaranteed. And I don't take responsibility for that either. I tell people, I don't know this person personally. Like, you know, sometimes people will ask, well, do you know them? And I was like, no. I'll say I spoke with them on the phone once, you know, but you know, you have to do your own checking. You know, I can't vouch for that. But, you know, people want to check. Dude, one guy said to me, he said, you know, I checked with somebody who went to school with her and she has knocked 5 years off of her age. And he said, you know, I'm okay with a year or two. All right. You know, but 5 years, really? No, I'm not going out with her. I said, okay. He was right. You know?
Right.
But,
I mean,
you know,
that is a sign of.
it could be, you know, so.
But then we need to keep in mind that some women will not say how old they are.
So on this site, they don't allow that. Like, you have to give that information. So one person, actually this person, she did not join for a long time because she did not want to give that information. And then when she did join, she lied about that information. You know.
She was getting desperate about getting married.
Maybe.
Anyway, Victor, you look a little annoyed.
But he asked me, Mr. Book.
How could you
I
look
didn't
annoyed? I'm not
answer.
annoyed.
You're
Not
like-
in the least. No, my face has never looked that way. So don't even try to pretend that my face looked that way. My mouth won't even do that.
Okay, we have been here for an hour and I have the kids show in half an hour. So we're going to close. I want to thank you, Kevin, for coming in and explaining her matchmaking site and the conversation that Huang and Victor had about different ways of using words. By the way, I found I'll send it to you, Victor, a link about the word ain't.
Okay.
That's very interesting. I found it as we were talking about it. So you come here, you learn something new, and then you go. Have a great day, people. We will be back because of my situation. I'm not sure when or how right now, but things are beginning to work out in a strange, strange way. Can we wave goodbye?
Yes, goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Focus on studying.